normalizing faith every day. It's not just a Sunday thing, but talking about it everywhere and how it does color our lives.
Hello there. You're listening to the Girl Talk Podcast. My name is Carol.
I'm Kelly.
Hey, I'm Tricia.
And we're so glad you joined us today. We're going to be talking about how do we keep from tying our identity to the kids' opinion of you.
Oh,
I stopped doing this a long time ago.
dangerous.
We have to tell the story about you saying the words, the something that was a meme.
The meme.
Yeah, we took one of our new employees out to lunch the other day, and Tricia said something that was a meme.
6'7".
Okay.
If you don't know it, it's like some kind of it's a long story what it means. It's
Okay.
like a convoluted background, but my kids absolutely go crazy when I try to say anything that's like current.
Like
Like 6'7".
used to be or whatever.
Yes, yeet. Yeah, all those things. Adorbs, whatever it is.
Right.
I say it.
And they go,
the
"Oh."
cap, all
Yeah.
of those things. So,
No
I
cap.
say it just to drive them crazy.
So we're taking one of the new employees out to lunch the other day, and these two teen guys were passing by our table, and Tricia was telling the story about 6'7", and we were all trying to understand. And the two teenage boys saw her, and they were like, "Oh!" and they start laughing. And I was like, "You just were their greatest part of their day." And then their mom follows along behind. She's looking at them and looking at us, and we're all having a good laugh because I have no clue what we were talking about, but they found it entertaining. So
Well, you'll have to tell me what 6'7" means.
I don't know.
Some
It
other
doesn't
time.
really. There's really no meaning to it.
Okay,
It kind
yeah.
of got picked up by one thing, one song, or one person. Anyway, it's not that big of a deal. But
Yeah.
Whatever. It's
just
the
when an
lingo.
adult person tries to say something that only kids say, everyone
Right.
dies. So.
Yes.
And so there
And
was,
they roll their eyes like, "Please
Eye
don't ever
rolling.
say that again."
yeah.
I'm sure we did
feel-
that to our parents, too.
I feel like
Oh,
that's
yeah.
just part of the experience, though.
that's right.
Like that you just get to be.
It's your job to embarrass your children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were trying something. My daughter and her dad. We were saying some word, and I can't remember what it was now. But she was like, "Please don't ever say that again." And then we used it as many times
Yes.
as we could.
Yeah.
Just to kind of get on her nerves. So I think that's part of the journey of parenthood, isn't it?
It is.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Part of the fun.
Yeah.
We can have
But
some fun.
We do want to stay connected with our kids.
Yeah.
And culture is changing so quickly with social media now. I feel like there's a new thing like every other day. If it goes that long, I'm probably way behind. There's probably a new thing every 5 minutes, but there's always something new. And I don't remember us. I mean, I guess we had our buzzwords when we were growing up, but
Well, they didn't change near as fast as they do now.
Yeah,
You know, there's
for sure.
just now, just culture in general is on warp speed in changing for good and bad. You know, there's just, things change a lot faster than they did way back when we were young.
And we see so much. We
Yeah.
see so much all the time. There's just no mystery to it.
yeah. And how do you find that you can pass down your faith without forcing it? One of the things that I do that I don't know if it's right, wrong, or indifferent, but I just normalize talking about faith in everyday situations. I make it a point to just normalize it. For instance, if I'm praying about something and I see God answer that prayer, I'm very intentional to say, "Oh, remind me to tell you some good news." In fact, I sent my daughter a text message earlier today and said, "Hey, remind me, I've got some good news." And it's an answer to prayer, really, that I have been praying for a long time. And so I just kind of normalize that instead of making it, okay, now we're going to sit down and talk about God, but just really normalizing it and building it into the fabric of our conversation it is really good. I found back when I used to have to take my daughter different places. She drives now, so that's a different world. But driving and talking about things was great because you didn't have to look at each other, and teenagers seem to not like to look at anybody. And so when their attention's on something else, that's a good time to kind of strike up conversation, especially about faith or anything that's going to be a hard topic to talk about.
Yes.
I find that works too. What about you guys?
Yeah, same. I really miss those times of having time in the car with my son with that undivided attention. So now we have to get it in a lot of different ways, and the thing that I've found that's been the most successful for me is trying to take an interest in what it is that he's interested in. So if, for instance, my son's very interested in computers. So if I can get time with him where he is showing me something related to his computer and let me into his world, then I can use those little moments to then bring in some sort of faith conversation, bring in some sort of conversation about what is God doing in your life, and you know, how do you look at this computer thing that you're doing through a biblical worldview, through the lens of our faith. But I can't get those moments unless I intentionally make myself present. And the only way I've found to be able to intentionally make myself present is to be interested in, or at least pseudo interested in, pretend to be interested in the things that he's interested in.
Sure.
Because I'm interested in him.
Yeah.
And by byproduct, I'm going to at least pretend to be interested in Valorant or whatever that computer game is that he plays.
Yeah.
Well, I think that is a big piece of it, is being present. Like you said, being present, that is a big deal. And yes, present in those car rides. I found one great opportunity is the dinner table. And I know we don't always have that available because there's sports or their band or whatever it is that takes us away. But in those moments when we are all around the dinner table, I feel like is a great opportunity to talk about things and to share your heart and to normalize faith. I love that you said that. Normalizing faith every day. It's not just a Sunday thing, but talking about it everywhere and how it does color our lives in even the smallest things. I remember one time we had a photo shoot. We were getting our family pictures taken, and we were driving to the photo shoot. And I said, guys, let's pray about this, because, I mean, it's a lot of money. And I wanted it to go well.
Right.
And my son, my oldest son said, why do we need to pray about going to get our photos taken? And I said, we need to pray about everything. We got to pray about every single thing. Yeah. And I saw a meme about that. Like, I got to pray when I go to Walmart.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Especially
matter.
when you go to Walmart.
Especially when you go to Walmart.
Right.
But that was a moment where he goes, oh, okay. Because he realized that prayer goes beyond the doctor appointment or the scary test or whatever it is. Prayer is an every moment kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And I realized I would always say that to my youngest too, like, let's pray about that. Let's pray about that. Every time he got upset about something, let's pray about it. Let's pray about it. And then one time I got upset about something, and he goes, Mom, you need to pray about it.
Oh, yeah.
That is beautiful.
Oh, yes. And he was right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that, I think we don't always see that it's taking root, but it is.
Yeah.
So be encouraged by that.
Well, and what a great reminder, too, that it's an ongoing conversation with God.
Yeah.
That, you know, it's not just about, hey, God, give me favor when I go to Walmart, but it's also God, what are you doing in my life? You know, what is it that you are in this moment where I'm entering into the Walmart and I know what I'm going to experience when I go into Walmart. How can you use me to be a light for Christ? You know, that it's just this ongoing, you can be asking for favor. It can be a ask for something, but it can also just be a conversation with God about the things that you see and processing the life and the world around you as you walk through life, that you're processing the world, but you're processing it with God, not just processing it on your own.
Yeah.
What a great thing to teach our children.
Yeah. I think another thing that I have tried to do, because I found myself not doing this, is let your kid experience faith the way that they will experience faith, and not necessarily the way you experience faith. Here's what I'm talking about with that. You know, we all as parents want our kids to sit down and read their Bible. We definitely want to do that. And I mean, if I'm honest, I didn't do that very much when I was a kid growing up and through my teenage years. I mean, I got a little more into the Bible the older I got, but I caught my daughter. She loves everything artistic. And I caught my daughter picking out verses and doing artwork in her Bible. We got her one of those artistic, what do you call them? The Bibles that you draw and color in and all that. And I found her doing that, and I was like, you know what? That counts.
Yes.
You know, just because she doesn't do Bible study the same way I do Bible study does not mean it's not valid and means something to her. You know, I will say that, and worshiping together is powerful. Just because of different circumstances, and she likes to sleep a little later than I do. We've gone to different services, and over the last couple of weeks, we've been in worship together again. And that's powerful, and you don't realize it until you're without them for a couple of weeks, and you're like, oh, getting back together and experiencing things in real time is really precious. And worshiping together, I think, is one of those things that we often just, we're sitting beside them in worship, but it is really a time where you can talk about what happened in worship, or what compelled you in worship, and how God spoke to you through worship, through the message, if you're sitting in church together, but understand, I used to want her faith to look just like mine, and it's going to be different, especially as she grows in her walk. And I have to remember, at that time in my life, I probably wasn't really into Bible study either. But over time, it changed and has developed and morphed into what it is today. And so let it look like they need it to look, right?
Yeah, let them express themselves and express their faith the way God has given it to them. So I love that. I also think letting them see you worship is a very powerful part of this.
Yeah.
I had a great moment. Our church will call people to come to the altar if they want to pray about something at the end of services. And I do that a lot. Here I come. Make way. I'm coming to the altar. One day I went down and I was praying at the end of the service, and you know how you can sense somebody beside you. And I turned around and it was my son. And that was so
beautiful.
Meaningful. We weren't sitting, he was sitting with his friends, and I was sitting in the back with my husband. And so, but I know he's seen me go to the altar many times. And so just knowing that they're watching, and that when we do take steps of faith, that they're watching us.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And it's caught more than taught.
Yes, absolutely.
It's so hard for me because I have a different experience. I have a really hard time getting my kid to go to church with me. And, over the past 4 Sundays, he's only been to one. And the one Sunday where he was there, I just boohooed all the way through service because I was so grateful that he was there. But every other Sunday, it's like something pops up. I've got a stomach ache, or, last week he ate hot chicken, like extra hot chicken the night before. And so
that can mess you up.
The next morning he was like, I'm so sick, I can't go to church. Like, how come you don't ever do this on the next morning where you're going to go out with your friends? So it's easy for me to get really angry and get really judgmental, and to get this, if you're going to live in my house, by golly, you're going to go to church every morning. That's non-negotiable. You were going to church on Sunday mornings, you're going to be there. And that's not winning me any favors with him. It's not actually getting him to progress in his own faith. It's getting him to, it's really actually just stirring up drama between the two of us and making me cry. And I'm tired of crying about it. So, I mean, what do I do? What do people like me who can't get their kiddo to go to church, for whom it's just a struggle to even have those moments of worship together, those moments of prayer? What do we do?
You're not alone. I've got 2 kids, one that's ready to go to church all the time, and one that hasn't gone since he went away to school. So it's not like, oh, you're the only one who's not got a kid who's going to school or going to church. So I have had to, because now I'm not in his face all the time. I don't even have the ability to drive him to church if I wanted to, or see if he goes to church. I mean, I've had this image of just putting my basket in the water, which is an image I'm hoping that, for me, it stirs up feelings of faith. Just trusting. I put my basket in the water, and trusting that God is going to do what he's going to do. I've prayed about this boy. He's God's child. We've dedicated him since he was born. I have no longer the ability to make sure he sits his bottom down in a church service. So I'm having to release that to God and trust him. So that basket in the water idea has helped me.
That's a good
move toward
analogy.
trust.
And good visualization.
And I will say, and I don't know about you guys, but I spent years where I didn't go to church. Seasons of where I wasn't involved in anything spiritual. And I just say that in terms of knowing that the seeds that you planted early on in those lives will one day be watered and grow into, something that we didn't even expect. Because I think what you can do is get down on yourself, because
100%,
and feel that guilt all over again. And
have I not done enough?
Right.
We've talked about that before. But
right.
Have I done enough?
Right.
And what I really want, what I really hunger for, is for him to hunger for Jesus.
I think that's the prayer we all have for our kids.
Yeah.
And I can't make him hunger. I
can't.
But
and
here's the
I can't
thing.
even make him want to go to church. Like, he has to want. It has to be his thing. It can't be my thing for him.
Right. But remember, even if he's sitting in a pew, that doesn't necessarily mean he's engaged.
Right.
Good point.
So not everybody who shows up with their kids at church every week means they're engaged and growing in their faith. That's what we tend to do, is to say, oh, look at so-and-so, their kids are here, the so-and-so. And that just doesn't equate to spiritual growth. And here's the thing. Jesus tells us that he wants us to get together because community is where we grow and we develop. But Jesus is not sitting there with an attendance roll, marking off attendance, and he can speak in a college dorm room the same he can in a sanctuary.
Yeah.
And I've been reminded over the last couple of days that God is so much bigger than me, and he knows exactly what it takes to reach our kids, to reach our brothers, our sisters, our whoever it is. He knows exactly what they need, and he can speak to that need just like that.
Yeah.
He doesn't need us at all, but he allows us to be part of the process. And so I just encourage you to say all those seeds that you planted early on in your kid's life, they're going to be watered by probably different people, and God's going to bring along what that kid needs for that time in life. And who knows what plans God has for him. I don't, but God does, and they are safe in his hands.
Yeah. And I want to create an environment too where he wants to have conversations with me. He wants to ask me about my faith. He wants to ask me for, help discerning God's will. I want him to ask me those things. And I have found that the more I force him to do things, whether it's, force him to get up and go to church on Sunday morning, or force him to, spend time with me or go to dinner with me, the more I force it, the less healthy the conversation is. I mean, the less healthy the relationship is that can lead to actual authentic conversations about the things I want to talk about. But man, it's so hard.
Because
I just want to say it's behavior. Dude, check these boxes, but it's not about behavior.
Right.
And hug yourself if you're struggling with this. Because I remember there was a time I literally told my son, I am going to put you in timeout if you don't tell me about your school day. Because he wasn't talking to me.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that was the only straw that I had to grasp to get him to speak to me. So I mean, it's not easy.
And the teenage years too are so hard because they are thinking with their frontal lobe. I mean, they're not fully developed. Right. And it's there are so many emotions and hormones and all the things.
So and they're tired.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're just tired.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And they're, especially kids our age, but maybe kids of all ages, they don't feel respected because there's so much of the, as our kids age, there's a lot of do this, don't do that, that we don't give them enough space oftentimes to be who they are, to feel like they have worth and value in their opinions and in their that they get to make their own decisions, that kind of stuff. There's a whole lot of parenting that happens, not as much respect, especially as they get older, when they're teenagers and they're really hungry for more of that validation and more wanting to be their own person and less under the thumb and control of their parents. They need more of that respect. And I know I haven't done a good enough job of giving that level of respect so that he has, just leading to those conversations that can lead to faith conversations.
But you're creating that by being open.
Yeah.
And
I hope so.
The less you're making him do something, you're creating the space for him to want to do it and to talk to you about it.
What you will find is that most parents that make their kids go to church, when those kids go off to college, they just don't go anymore. Yeah. They just, even abandon their faith for some time. And I think it's more about, I don't think it's as much a faith thing as it is an independence thing.
Sure, right, yeah.
I'm my own person.
Yeah.
I'm going to make my own decisions, and you got to decide, hey, this is what I do on Sundays or whenever you go to church. And here's the thing. I think we can live in a place of guilt for a lot of different reasons. But both parents who did everything right and parents who did nothing right have kids that either enter into the ministry and do what God's called them to do, and you have children who grew up in both environments who don't do what God
who end up in jail.
Yeah, absolutely. And
though jail can be a ministry in and of itself.
Absolutely.
For sure. People
absolutely
find faith there a lot.
So I think it's just important to remember that it's not all up to us. We have a gracious God who, and I feel a lot of that guilt from being a single parent, that I haven't provided the perfect life that I wanted for my kid, and so we can do that with a lot of different things. But I think just the thing that keeps coming to me over and over again is that God is so much bigger than we are, and He is the perfect parent. And if He is the perfect parent and his kids still mess up, well,
a lot of peace in that.
A lot of peace in it. So we'd love to hear your thoughts. We'd love to get your insight on this. If you're done raising kids and you're like, here's what I learned, we'd love to hear from you.
Yes.
In fact, type that in all bold letters so that we make sure we see it, because we need lots of help. But we hope you've enjoyed this conversation today. Like and subscribe to this podcast. When you leave us a comment, it helps other people get to know the Girl Talk podcast. And the only reason we want them to know that is so that they can know Jesus. That is the whole point of the Girl Talk podcast. And just don't forget to ask Jesus about your parenting, because He will tell you and show you the way. That's the only way that we all can make it through. We love when you connect with us either on the Facebook page, through email. You can email us at girltalk@thelightfm.org. Whatever way you want to get in touch. We'd love the opportunity to communicate with you. We do a little happy dance when we get an email. And you can check in on the Facebook pages as well. And you know what? We're going to save you a seat next time we gather around these microphones for the next Girl Talk podcast.